I grew 100 LBS of food in a 4x8 raised bed. Here's everything I did. So today I want to share something with you that honestly blew my own mind a little bit. This past season, I tracked every single harvest from one raised bed, just one 4x8 raised bed, nothing fancy, and by the end of the season, the total weight of vegetables I pulled out of that bed came to over 100 pounds. 100 pounds from a space the size of a parking spot. Now I know what you might be thinking, okay, that sounds impressive, but is that actually useful for me? And that is exactly why I'm making this video. Because everything I did in that bed you can do too. No special equipment, no greenhouse, no agricultural degree required. Just smart planning, the right soil, and a few techniques that make a massive difference. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on bell notification so you don't miss out on our daily gardening updates. Tell me where you are watching from in the comments section. Now let's get it started. I'm going to walk you through the whole thing, what I planted, how I set it up, what worked, what surprised me, and what I would do differently. By the end of this video, you're going to have a clear picture of exactly how to get the most out of your raised bed this season. Alright, let's get into it. First things first, let me tell you about the bed itself, because the foundation really does matter. The bed I used was a standard 4x8, 4 feet wide, 8 feet long, and 12 inches deep. That depth is important. A lot of beginner gardeners go with 6-inch beds and wonder why their plants struggle. 12 inches gives your plant roots real room to grow down, which means bigger, healthier plants and a much better harvest. Now the material was cedar, untreated cedar. Cedar is naturally rot-resistant, it looks great, it doesn't leach anything harmful into your soil, and a well-built cedar bed will genuinely last you 10 or more years. If budget is a concern, pine works too, just know you'll likely replace it sooner. I placed the bed in the sunniest spot in my yard, and I cannot stress this enough, sun is everything. Vegetables need at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight per day. If your bed is sitting in partial shade, you are fighting an uphill battle no matter how perfect everything else is. Before you build or place your bed, spend a day just watching where the sun hits your yard and for how long. Put your bed there. I also laid down a layer of cardboard underneath the bed before filling it. This smothers any grass or weeds underneath, breaks down over time, and adds organic matter to your soil. Okay, soil. This is where most people either win or lose their garden season before they even plant a single seed. Bad soil is the #1 reason raised bed gardens underperform, and the good news is it is completely within your control. I used what's called a Mel's Mix, a classic raised bed formula that has stood the test of time. It's 1/3 compost, 1/3 peat moss or coconut coir, and 1/3 coarse vermiculite. That's it. This combination gives you soil that holds moisture without getting waterlogged, drains well so roots don't rot, stays loose and fluffy so roots can push through easily, and is rich with the organic matter your plants are hungry for. It doesn't compact over time the way garden soil or topsoil does, which means your beds stay productive season after season. Now I know some people look at the price of vermiculite and wince a little. It's not cheap, but think of it this way, you're filling this bed once and you're going to be gardening in it for years. The soil is your single most important investment in the whole setup. Don't cut corners here. Every season I top my bed off with 2 to 3 inches of fresh compost. That's it. No tilling, no digging, no turning everything over. Just fresh compost on top and let the worms and microbes do their thing. This is the no-dig approach, and it works beautifully. Let me tell you exactly what went into that bed and how I arranged everything to maximize every square inch. I used the square foot gardening method, which if you're not familiar, you divide your bed into 1-foot squares and plant a different crop in each square based on the size of the plant. So a 4x8 bed gives you 32 squares to work with, 32 different planting spots from one small bed. That's a lot of food. Here's what I grew. I devoted 4 squares to tomatoes, 2 cherry tomato plants, and 2 beefsteak varieties. Tomatoes were my biggest producers by weight. I trained them vertically up a trellis along the back of the bed so they didn't shade everything else out. I planted 6 squares of lettuce, a mix of romaine, butterhead, and a loose-leaf red variety. What I love about lettuce is that you can do what's called cut-and-come-again harvesting, where you snip the outer leaves and the plant just keeps growing. Those 6 squares gave me salad greens from early spring all the way through to the summer heat. 4 squares went to green beans, bush beans specifically, not pole beans, because bush beans don't need support and they produce a concentrated harvest that's easy to manage in a small bed. 3 squares for zucchini, and honestly I could have done 2 because zucchini is an absolute machine. One healthy zucchini plant will feed a family if you let it. I trained mine over the edge of the bed to keep it from taking over. 2 squares for cucumbers, also trained vertically. Cucumbers love to climb and they produce like crazy once they get going. I used the remaining squares for radishes, green onions, basil and marigolds along the border. The marigolds aren't just pretty, they actively repel pests and attract pollinators, which helps everything else in the bed produce better. The key to hitting 100 pounds was succession planting. Every time I finished harvesting a crop, when the lettuce bolted in the heat, when the radishes were done, I didn't leave that square empty. I immediately replanted it with something new. Cool season crops in spring, warm season crops through summer, cool season crops again in fall. That bed was producing something every single week of the growing season. Let's talk about watering, because this is another area where a small upgrade makes a huge difference. I used a drip irrigation system, nothing elaborate, just a basic soaker hose looped through the bed connected to a simple timer. I set it to water in the early morning for about 20 minutes, 3 times a week. That's it. I didn't have to think about it. I didn't forget to water during a busy week, and the plants got consistent moisture delivered right to their roots, not on their leaves, which can cause fungal issues. Consistent watering is genuinely one of the biggest factors in plant productivity. Tomatoes that get uneven watering, dry, then soaked, then dry again, are the ones that crack and get blossom end rot. A consistent drip system almost completely eliminates those problems. For feeding, I kept it simple. Every 2 weeks I watered in a diluted fish emulsion fertilizer. It smells terrible for about an hour, I'll be honest with you, but plants absolutely love it. It's gentle, organic, and gives your vegetables the nitrogen they need to keep pushing out new growth and fruit throughout the season. I also did 1 compost tea application per month, which is just compost steeped in water for 24 to 48 hours and then poured around your plants. Free fertilizer, basically, if you're already making compost. No garden video is complete without talking about the things that tried to eat my plants before I could. Aphids showed up early on my tomatoes and lettuce. My first response was a strong blast of water from the hose, just knocked them off. This works better than you'd think and doesn't involve any chemicals. For persistent aphids, I made a simple spray with water, a few drops of dish soap, and a tiny bit of neem oil. Sprayed directly on the leaves in the evening, and the aphids were gone within a week. Slugs were my other main visitor, going after the lettuce especially. I laid copper tape around the base of the bed. Slugs genuinely don't like crossing copper, and I put out small traps with a little bit of beer in them. Simple and effective. Those marigolds I mentioned did a real job on the pest front too. The smell deters whiteflies and aphids, and the bright flowers brought in ladybugs and parasitic wasps that handled a lot of pest control for me naturally. The big lesson with pests is to catch them early. Walk your garden every morning, it takes 2 minutes, and if you see something wrong, deal with it that day. Okay, let's talk numbers, because I tracked everything. Tomatoes were my biggest contributor by far. I pulled around 38 pounds of tomatoes between the cherry and beefsteak varieties over about 3 months of continuous harvesting. Honestly, I was giving them away to neighbors by August. Zucchini came in second at about 24 pounds. Again, 2 plants. The third plant I probably could have skipped. Zucchini is not messing around. Cucumbers gave me around 14 pounds, which kept us stocked with fresh cucumbers all summer, and I made a few jars of refrigerator pickles. Green beans came in at about 10 pounds across 2 harvests. Bush beans produce a big flush, you harvest, and then they slow down, which is why succession planting a second batch a few weeks after the first makes sense. The lettuce, radishes, onions, and herbs rounded out the rest. I estimate about 14 pounds across all of those, though greens are harder to weigh because we were eating them as fast as they grew. All right, let me be real with you, because that's what simple smart gardening tips is all about. I'm not going to make this sound perfect. I planted the zucchini too close to the cucumbers, and they competed for space more than I expected. Next season, I'm putting the zucchini at the very edge of the bed where it can spill over without crowding everything else. I also waited too long to put up the trellis for my tomatoes and spent a stressful afternoon trying to tie up plants that were already flopping over. Put your support structures up at planting time, not when you think you need them. And I wish I had started a second batch of lettuce succession a little earlier in the season. I had a 2-week gap in mid-July where I had nothing coming in because I let the first planting go too long before replacing it. So there you have it, 100 pounds of vegetables, 1 4x8 raised bed, 1 season. And honestly, the most exciting part of this isn't the number. It's that the process is completely repeatable. If I can do it, you can absolutely do it. If you're just getting started, pick one bed. Get your soil right, plan your planting squares, and don't leave any empty space sitting there. That's really where the magic is, keeping that bed working for you from the first warm day of spring all the way through to the first frost of fall. If this video helped you out at all, please give it a thumbs up. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who are trying to grow their own food. And if you're not subscribed to Simple Smart Gardening Tips yet, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next. Drop a comment below and let me know, what are you planning to grow in your raised bed this season? I read every single comment, and I love hearing what you guys are working on. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy growing!